right now Deborah Gardner. She is running for District 76. Put your hands together for Deborah. Also joining us right here is Lindsey Dougherty. Lindsey running in District 75. Also Mike Jones represents Virginia's 77th District, running as well. So all three are running. So first and foremost, I'll throw this out first. As you're traveling around your districts, what's the dominant issue you are hearing from folks that they care about, that's most important in their minds?
Thank you, Roland, and thank you so much for having me. I am currently in the House of Delegates, so I still am knocking doors, just like I'm in a pretty safe district. And what I'm hearing from my constituents is they're really worried. They're really afraid about what's happening in Washington, mostly regarding the economy and healthcare. And so we are trying to address some of those issues in the House of Delegates. I'm actually on Health and Human Services as one of my committees. I'm also on Finance as a freshman. I'm really proud of that. And so I'm able to hopefully alleviate some of their fears. But in all honesty, we're not like the federal government. We cannot make money.
Yes, so one of the biggest things that I'm hearing about just general affordability, a lot of it is around accessibility and affordability of healthcare. It's something that me and my family have faced over the years, and comes up on doors whether they're Democrats, Republicans, or independents. And so I think that all the things that you mentioned before about it not mattering what side of the aisle folks typically vote on, these are issues that impact our day-to-day life regardless of what party we previously supported. And so we have to make that decision this year in Virginia on who we feel like is best going to lead us, provide a firewall of protection against what's happening at the federal level, but also building up our communities here in Virginia for the next 2 years.
First of all, good evening, Michael Jones. Thanks for having us out. People are tired of the nonsense in D.C. On November 1st, there's roughly 57,000 Chesterfield residents and 36,000 Richmond residents who will not receive their SNAP benefits because of the shutdown. That's not getting enough airtime. We're not talking about that enough. But our families and vulnerable communities are going to be impacted in a major way. The cost of living is not going down. It's rising. And many of the people that we represent, all three of us, and who Lindsey hopes to represent, they're not receiving the assistance from the government, federal and state, that they're going to need.
And so we were talking about affordability. When I look at Mamdani running in New York, I mean, he is running a campaign that is speaking directly to people's concerns. You see it in the ads that he's doing, the social media as well. And healthcare is absolutely dominant, but we also are seeing is the issue of housing, affordable housing. We've seen prices of homes explode all across the country over the last several years. And so what specifically do you hope to do, Lindsey, I'll start with you, if elected, to confront the issue of housing cost in your district?
Yes, so I'm actually running against an opponent that voted against tax breaks for first-time home buyers. It seems like a no-brainer to me, and that's something that I personally would support when elected. She also voted to raise rents without notice to people, and since she is a landlord, that benefits her directly. And I think that that doesn't serve our community. It doesn't represent what we need at a House of Delegates level, at a state Senate level, and is something that I will directly impact when we flip this seat.
One of the things that we did, the city of Richmond actually has a tax incentive program for affordable housing projects. And that's going to be a model that we're going to use at the state level, that any builder that wants to come into a locality and do an affordable housing project, instead of a tax abatement program that basically gentrified the city of Richmond, those dollars are now shifted to putting affordable housing stock out there. And so that's key. That's something that we can do. As well, we have to ensure that the planning process, the planning and review process that a lot of our localities drag their feet on, is just, it's raising the cost of those projects. When localities reduce the number of units in the name of infrastructure, right? You take a project that has 1,000 units, remove 200, you just increase the cost of that project by 20%. And the developer's not going to take that on. So we need to reduce the duplicative processes within a locality. We need to encourage them to get this process through within 9 to 10 months, not 18 months to 2 years.
And for me, this year during the General Assembly, affordable housing was one of my issues. I actually put in 3 pieces of legislation, 2 of which actually went to the Housing Commission for study so we could bring them back. They did not die. And one in particular, which is really kind of critical, is that we have localities and we have the state who has surplus property. And that surplus property could be used for affordable housing, but most of the time we did the research and found out that the localities did not know how much surplus property they had. The state did not know how much surplus property they had. So my legislation would have required them to do inventory and to make these properties available at a fair market value to organizations who specifically targeted developing affordable housing. And so it got sent to study. It did not die, but we've got to stop talking about the problem and start doing something. The other piece was to actually form a task force that would bring all of these pieces together, including the one that Delegate Jones talked about how long it takes to get housing through the process. And so that one is actually, they're working on pulling together, and it would have to report within a year and not just be something that you do and put on the shelf.
I asked this question earlier. I talked about it with the president as well. So I'm going to ask each one of you to say yes or no. If you return to the delegate, if you are elected and you return as well, will you specifically support the state giving the $277.5 million that's owed to this school that was taken, with the money that came from the federal government, the land grant money? Do you support that?
Hell yes.
Absolutely. I work in a higher education university too, and we need to get these dollars into the communities that need them.
And I would too, and my understanding is that they removed their designation as a land grant, and they should restore that as well as give the money back.
All right then. Mike, I'll start with you. This one of the issues that specifically is important to our community, black-owned businesses being able to tap into state contracts. What does that look like for black-owned businesses in this state? The reality is, if you look at most of our businesses, the ones that have been able to build and grow, right. The reason Atlanta is what it is because of the airport, because of contracts there, because of contracts with the city. We've not seen that replicate in some other different places. So talk about what you will do to advance that issue if you get to go back.
Right. We know we can't do set-asides and namely say, all right, you have to spend X, Y, Z. But some of the things that we can do is begin to look at and focus on.
Pull that mic up a little bit higher.
Hold our developers accountable, that the procurement processes, whether it's a locality, whether it's a state level, to ensure that they are being equitable in the dollars that they do in Atlanta. All right, if someone couldn't scale up to do the entire airport, okay, do the runway. How do we begin to do some of those things?
What Maynard Jackson actually did was he broke. So I cover city government, county government, and the reality is, in order for you to bid on a prime contract, you had to have been a prime before. Well, if you never can become a prime, you can never bid on a prime contract. So what he did was he actually broke the contracts up. So versus there being a $100 million contract, he broke it into 4 $25 million contracts or 10 $10 million contracts, so which gave somebody an opportunity to become a prime contractor. And once you become a prime one time, you now can bid on other prime contracts. Exactly. That's a way of doing it. That's not. Or when I covered City Hall in Fort Worth, one of the things they did was give preferential treatment to zip codes or to businesses in the city that are actually headquartered in the city. The last thing that Jackson did also was require banks, where the city put their money in those banks, to provide lines of credit the businesses getting city contracts. He said, we're going to be paying them, but they can't survive on 6 months. And that's not a race-based policy. That can be for any business that has a state contract or a city contract. There are ways to actually help build capacity to get around those restrictions.
And some of the things that we did, after my first session, we held a Banking While Black symposium, and we looked at how African-American businesses were not able to scale up or get the type of lending that, you know, white organizations could do. And so we
Which is why Bean didn't get a PPP loan in the first place.
Exactly. And so what we did this past session, put in a budget amendment that gave a grant, it was close to $250,000 to the Metropolitan Business League so they could help small businesses, black businesses, minority-owned businesses, begin the process of scaling up. And so that's something that I want to see just more robust, more dollars put there. Because if we help local organizations like MBL, Floyd Miller can get those dollars to the companies and the men and women that are actually out here doing that work and help them be successful.
Do you want me? Yes. What I want to say is I'm actually a small business owner. I'm registered in Chesterfield County. And not only those kind of
Girl,
things.
you got to tell me what the business is.
Huh?
What's the business?
I'm a consulting business. I do executive and executive coaching, but it's been on hold since I've been running. So
You better always be selling. You better tell folks what it is. Go ahead.
yes, but along those same lines, we also have to make sure that they're not intentionally cutting them out. A group came to me to bring up possible legislation this session about how they have been kept out of this by having to check certain boxes, that if you've ever had a felon, then you can't bid on this, or if you ever, anybody in your company who has these certain things and you check those boxes, you can't even bid for some of those contracts. So we have to stop some of the roadblocks that are put in before small businesses, especially black-owned businesses, to make sure that if they can bid on these things, that they're going to be qualified. As a small business owner, we also have to help processes where I have a macro business, but I have to jump through the same hoops that some of these larger businesses have, and that deters people from wanting to go into small business. And as we know, small businesses are the backbone of our community. They're the ones who provide the services to us every single day.
Yes, so I think that, especially with the tariffs that are happening at the federal level, we need to really sow into the small businesses across our communities. And, that's women-owned businesses, that's black-owned businesses, that's minority-owned businesses, because those are going to be the businesses that keep our community safe, keep us fed, keep us healthy. And so I think that if we're able to connect them to SWAM at the state level, help them navigate these procurement processes at the state level that are convoluted and have typically been built to kind of exclude people, then we will be successful in doing that. And so it's working with the small businesses in our communities to help them through that process, to connect them to resources and help them thrive, and then help our community thrive too.
But the key, I'm being very specific, not small business, black-owned businesses. Because what we've seen many of them get frozen out, left out, and the problem is they remain small. They have 1, 2 employees. So the reality is we have to build scale. So that has to be an intentional effort by the state to say we're going to do that to provide access to folks that have often been left out. If you're able to grow black-owned businesses, you can change in many of these communities. But it has to be the ability to be able to access city contracts, county contracts, state contracts, because we're seeing how they're being cut out on the federal level.
And capital.
Yeah.
They have to be able to access that capital.
Well, capital, but also contracts. I mean,
Yes.
so part of the deal, what happens when we talk about, whenever this issue comes up, we spend lots of time talking about access to capital, but the reality is, if I have access to contracts,
Then
I'll
I
get
can
capital.
And I think the one thing that we have, that Deborah and I both have, when folk come in, and they're lobbying us for votes, my one power is a vote. That if it's coming before me on labor and commerce, which I serve on, if it's coming before city, counties, and towns, all right, hey, why isn't there anyone in this room that looks like me, right? As our legislature in Virginia, as it blackens and browns, right? Why don't we see black and brown lobbyists? Why, you can ask, and I've done that. I don't care whether it's
those are jobs. Those employees. Those folks have families. There's a whole downflow.
And you could ask them, hey, you want my vote? Are you hiring any minority businesses? Those are questions that I ask in my office. Are you? And if you're not, what do we need to do? Even with the unions, if all the union reps,
I've been saying to unions for a long time, don't come begging for black legislative votes, and then you're not hiring black folks, especially trades.
Yeah.
And even putting them in the apprentice programs. You look at those programs, you don't see many brown people.
Yeah, but I ain't talking about apprentice. I'm talking people who are not apprentice, who actually already have the skill set. I've been on that for like 20 years, and the trades folks get mad at me all they want to, but I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn, because those are high-paying jobs that we often are frozen out of, and that's a problem when again they want black votes for something to get passed, but where are those jobs?
Yeah, and so when I go through their shops, I'm like, hold on, why I don't see any African Americans in here? Why I don't see anyone that looks like us in there? And I think that's up to us as legislators to really sound that alarm, sound that trumpet, and put that expectation out there that we want representation. We want to see individuals that look like us and that are being supported by us. And so that's key for me.
Your individual districts, give me a sense of the black makeup of your district.
My district is Chesterfield County. I only have one jurisdiction. It's predominantly white. I am the first black person, black Democrat to ever represent just Chesterfield statewide.
My district covers the eastern part of Chesterfield, all of Hopewell City, and then the northern part of Prince George. And the black vote makes up about 35% of my district.
I represent parts of Richmond and parts of Chesterfield County, 47% African American, and I'm the first African American to represent this area in the states, in the state. So.
Last question for each one of you. I've asked you earlier, give me your next priority if you are able to serve in the House of Delegates.
I already told you about affordable housing. My next one is early childhood education, and that includes like childcare, affordable, accessible, quality childcare, as well as 0 to 5, because I used to be the chief deputy for the Department of Corrections, and what I realize is if we don't catch them on the front end, we're going to pay for them in corrections on the back end.
Absolutely, it's going to be more costly.
More costly.
Yeah, so I think that one of the main things that I am really going to want to tackle when I am elected is modernizing the state funding formula for schools. This looks at 0 to 5 funding. This looks at major maintenance that our schools need, especially in our rural areas, and it hasn't been updated in decades. And so it's not going to be something that can happen in the first year, but it's something that we can finally start to right as we move through the next few years, and will benefit entire communities and families.
For me, it's economic mobility. It's not just making $15 or $18 or $19 an hour. How can they move up from there? And so I work on, and I'm reporting to the Workforce Committee within Labor and Commerce, and that's key for me. How can we just not get a good job, but how can we continue to grow on those jobs and ensure? Next piece is ensuring that, they tell black kids that, hey, college isn't for everybody, but they're not telling that to kids at Collegiate and places like that. I want to ensure that Virginia students can get into Virginia colleges and not spend the farm to do it. My son is in his first year, College of Law at FAMU, and $33,000 out-of-state tuition. He got in-state tuition because he trained for the pros and all that stuff down in Miami, $13,000 a year for law school. How can we do that here in Virginia? How can we ensure that every Virginian that wants to go to school in Virginia, it is a bad economic decision to leave this state? And so that's something I want to look at. How do we control the costs? How do we ensure that our young students can do that and ensure that our young boys and young girls are going to schools? All of my kids have HBCU degrees, including their dad. And that's important to me, and that means something to me. And so how do we get more of our kids here where they're going to be cared for, where they're more than just a number, but they care and get the compassion that they need?
All right, folks,
I'm an HBCU grad as well, North Carolina Central University.
You're supposed to throw it in earlier. See, you late. You late. Put your hands together for Deborah Gardner, Lindsey Dougherty, Mike Jones. When we come back.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.